Why, yes. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are we today? It is bright and early here in the States, about 8:23. And today we are introducing my new little side project, and hopefully it's a good one for y'all. It is Who's at the Table? Why, good morning, sir. How are you?
Hey, I'm very well. I'm all right. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. It's a little bit later in your time of day, ain't
Yeah, we're 20 past
it?
one, so I've had a cheese sandwich and I've got a cup of tea, so I'm all right.
Yeah, I just realized I didn't have anything to drink at the table this morning, so I don't feel I'm totally at the table.
Yeah.
So please tell my people who you are, what you do.
Right. My name's Andy Brown. I am a painter. I'm an artist. I travel around the world painting ballparks. I've done it for about 10 years now, since I used to live in South Korea for 10 years. And that was kind of when I started painting ballparks. And then that's seen me travel now to 12 different countries all around the world. I've painted over 100 different ballparks live. That's as the game's going on. I'm there with an easel, painting the action. I've painted the MLB London series. I've painted all 30 MLB ballparks live. And like I say, it's I do it all around the world. So I'm always looking for the next ballpark, the next team, the next league. I've been artist for the Lidom in Dominican. I've been artist for Team GB at the Italian Championships or the European Championships in Italy just last year, and that's what I do.
I love traveling for ballparks, so this has me highly interested.
It's a fantastic. It's just fantastic, isn't it? I mean, I remember going to my first game in Busan, South Korea, when I first moved there in 2009. And an American friend said, "Hey, there's a ball game on. Do you want to come along?" So I went along to it and loved it. It was great. It was like the first time I'd seen a baseball game, and been to the ballpark and just that wide expanse, going from the city, from the subway, from the noisy streets into that big green field. And then you have the noise of the KBO, the cheering, the interesting food, the music, and then just the surrounds. For me, it's all about it tells you so much about a culture being in a ballpark. It tells you about what music people like, how they respect each other, how they disrespect each other, how they celebrate, how they commiserate, how to play baseball. It tells you about the logos, the iconography. You can learn a lot just from sitting through a ball game in any country in the world. You can tell a huge amount about that culture in the country. So I started at that first one, and then from there, I started traveling around Korea, painting different ballparks, and then it ended up, all right, they play in Japan, nip over to Japan, do some painting over there each year, and then it went from being a pastime and a hobby almost to being what I do, and yeah, it's been great. It's got me to some amazing places. I've met some amazing people. Um, yeah, it's been quite an incredible time.
Well, my buddy from Boston was highly impressed whenever I showed him this one.
Yeah, yeah. For Boston fans and for many baseball fans, but certainly for Boston fans, that's a good. And that's with Mr. Ortiz. That was that's February this year or March this year. I was in the Dominican doing a project over there, making a book of artwork, and I was asked to go and paint a picture of David Ortiz there. And so that was quite an experience. He's the biggest man you've ever met in your life, and he's just massive. I mean, they call him Big Pappy, of course, but he's bigger than big. He's huge, and he's a great guy. So it was a pleasure to meet him and get the chance to paint his portrait.
He seems like a really nice guy. I've never met him, but I haven't heard anything bad on him. So,
He's brilliant fella, really nice.
wow. I'm just curious, what you've been to all these ballparks and you paint in the ballpark?
Yeah, yeah. So I set up my easel. I'll take a canvas. I mean, originally it started off just with sketchbooks and small drawings, small paintings, but through the years, the materials have got different, or become gone from sketching with a pencil to acrylic paint, watercolor, to oil paint, and then of course you start needing an easel, or you want to take an easel. So taking a little field easel with me. That's not always easy, but it's a bit of planning is needed sometimes, or
You're
sorting out with
excused.
people. Um, so live all within 9 innings. I've painted them, and it's an interesting way to see the game.
So the high scoring games are the ones you more want to finish your painting, huh?
It depends. Yeah, it can. It's strange, isn't it? It's almost like I always think that by the time, if I'm in the States, for example, when I get to the seventh inning stretch, I need the painting to be coming to the last little bit. It needs to be kind of winding down. If it's not, then I know, okay, I've got to get on with it. But again, it depends how much you're talking to people. Sometimes you come over, you start talking to people, and before you know it, like a couple of innings are gone, you think, oh, actually, I've got to get on with this painting. But it's always great. It's great to meet the fans, talk to people. And I think it brings a unique and different angle to baseball, but also to our understanding, hopefully, and our appreciation of just sport and what sport means in our culture, what it tells us about cultures, and how you've got a game like baseball that's played all around the world, but in different countries it's played very differently, and the atmosphere is very different. But it's the same sport, it's the same game, so it's endlessly fascinating.
So, are you going to be doing anything for the World Cup?
The Football World Cup in Qatar, you mean that one?
The FIFA, yeah, that'd be soccer.
Yeah.
I guess
I don't.
we call it soccer over here. Still, we
Of
don't call it
course, of
football. We
course,
have a
of
different style
course,
of
of
football over
course.
here,
Um,
which
yeah,
some of
I
your
would.
people over there have already thrown out the word football for the round ball game
Right. Yeah.
and
No,
have turned
we.
into UK NFL fans.
That's it. That's it. I would like to be at the World Cup, but I suspect being December time it's being played, I'll be in the Winter League somewhere, either Mexico, Dominican again. But I'd like to get to Panama, Colombia, Nicaragua, all around there, and do more winter ball. So I imagine, but we'll see. We'll see what you never quite know what's going to come up next. It's kind of interesting.
Now, just curious, when you tell a stadium that do you talk to who do you talk to? Because I
Yeah.
imagine if someone wanted this stadium painted or drawn, where would you prefer to be at? In the outfield,
Oh.
like in the press
Uh,
box, or
you know,
do you need your peace and quiet?
Well, you don't get peace and quiet really, but that's all right. Like if you don't, if you can't really, unless you're in. I guess if you're in a box, then maybe you can have that. But I think that's not really the point for me. The point is to be in the action. I wanna get a feeling for the ballpark, for the fans in the ballpark, for that specific day and time as well. I want to be, if it's the World Series and it's Game 7 or Lead Dom Game 2 or whatever it is, I want to be there at that time, and I want everything to be kind of as close to as it is as I can get it. It's or the feeling of it, the atmosphere of it. I want to capture that moment. And in terms of position, again, it doesn't really matter to me. I usually try to find out, okay, what's the iconic thing about a ballpark? So of course, Fenway, you've got the Green Monster. Things like that. Okay, what are the things that make this one different to anywhere else? But I also want to get there, and I want to talk to fans, talk to the press people, talk to people and say, okay, what's important to you here? Is there something for this season that's significant? I know when I was at the Rangers, it was the last maybe, I can't remember how many games they had left, but they maybe had 20 games left or whatever. And in left field, they had a little counter with how many games left there were at the original in the Arlington Stadium. So again, it was kind of cool to put that in because that was a significant thing. Okay, well, of course they've moved over the road now, the Rangers, to the new place. But so it doesn't matter to me. It's more about, okay, what is significant to the fans, to the people, or seems to be about the history of the place.
Like I imagine PNC Park, you'd want to be like up in the 300 section,
Yeah,
behind home plate with the whole
yeah,
city
yeah,
backdrop.
yeah.
I would,
That's it.
or
That's it.
I wasn't sure how you picture. I guess how you picture angles. That's what I was more gonna get at from your perspective.
Yeah, you know what I also do. I mean, this is probably why I paint rather than I used to do a lot of photography, but I pursued the painting because with paint, okay, I can have my canvas, and like you say, like PNC, yeah, you want to get the Clemente Bridge in, you want to get downtown Pittsburgh behind there, um, and but then of course there might be something that's just over there that's really significant. But with painting, luckily, you can just bring it into the painting. If there's somebody in the crowd and you think, oh, that's a character, or there's the mascot, or there's somebody with a flag, or somebody important that sticks out, or a sign, or goodness knows what, you can bring that into the painting. You can actually just move things around a bit. You can stretch and pull. Things that you think aren't so important, then you can leave out. But the more significant things, you can say, right, we need to have this in, and compositionally it sits here well. So you have a little bit of freedom there.
So so if you saw like a flag you liked and Do you take a picture of it on your phone just so you have it, or do you have that good of a photographic memory of what it said and what it?
No, normally because I get it all done. The paintings are all completed on that day and that time in the game. So if I see something, I mean, usually I find I've got to see something a few times. So it might be like you know, in Mexico, for example, I remember, okay, the drinks vendors have like high vis vests on, and then I remember one of them had like a mohawk, but it was like a brightly lit neon mohawk, like that they sell to the kids there. And you know, the first time you see that, you think, oh, that's interesting or whatever, but you might be painting. But then you see it again, you think, okay, right, I've seen that guy a couple of times now, and that seems significant, or I'm noticing it a couple of times. Right, you might put it in. But it kind of depends what pops up and what seems to be the thing of the night. Again, I was in Taiwan in the final, like their World Series, their Taiwan series, and the final out, all the fans chuck on these ribbons. You have all these blue ribbons go streaming onto the field, and it's incredible. It's like a waterfall of paper, and it's just beautiful to paint and capture and see. But when you're trying to paint it, of course, it only lasts 10 seconds, 20 seconds, a minute at most, and so you've got to just try and figure out or try and capture in my mind, right? That's kind of the shape, that's kind of how it looks, and then you've got to trust your instincts and trust your abilities to get it done.
I, I love how you came up with this idea. I mean, I'm not very artistic, so I'm not very good at this stuff.
It's a challenge every time, I can tell you that. There's always something new.
So Andy, you did all these right here?
They're all mine. That's Doubleday Field in Cooperstown, 2019. I think it was October, early October. I just travelled around all 30 ballparks, painting them all. So, yeah, you got PNC at the front there.
I saw that
the
right there.
Phillies, you've got Camden Yards. We've got the Guardian Stadium. We've got the Nats. Kansas City just in front of me. To my right is Cincinnati. You got the Arlington one just behind my shoulder, and Coors Field. Astros. I mean, they're all basically all there. So it was quite that was a crazy trip. That was a lot of you start off with one ballpark and you paint it, and then by the end of it, you've painted 30. They're all in the car. They're all rolled up in a big like sausage of canvas. Which every day, like, because I was paranoid about losing them, so every day you check into a motel or wherever you're staying that night, and you take the paintings in and probably sleep next to it in your bed and hold on to it for dear life. And then the next day you go back in the car, you do another paint, you come back, the sausage gets a little bit bigger, but it only starts off as a thin little roll. By the end of the thing, it was a big old thing that I was carting around in and out of everywhere I went, because there was no way that was leaving my side. So, yeah, it was quite a lot of canvas, a lot of paint.
I love it. I mean, you got to see all these ballparks, and you get to travel. It's got to be a great feeling.
It's great. It's great. Yeah, you can't beat it. I mean, it's just like, that photo you flashed up earlier, meeting David Ortiz. Like, I remember, it's 2015, was it? Or 2016 when he retired. And I was in Fenway, and it was kind of his final season. And I had an Ortiz shirt on. And then, you're seeing Big Papi, he's, a legend of the game. And then to all of a sudden, I don't know, 5 years later, be in the same room as him and asked to do his painting. And then, so I did 2 paintings of him. I gave him one. He said, "Oh, can I have one?" I said, "Yeah, of course." So I gave him one of them. So yeah, it was, just amazing, just absolutely amazing.
So you're getting free advertisement in David Ortiz's one of his houses.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope that's the way. He signed a couple balls for me. So he said, "Look, are you giving me this? What can I give you?" I said, "Look, I've got a couple balls."
You should have said a bat. You should have went after the bat.
Like anything. I mean, anything that man's got. I mean, I should have said his sunglasses, because they were probably worth than a house. But it was.
I'm okay with the cheap sunglasses. I always tend to lose them anyway.
Well, yeah, he was like, yeah, you've never seen, like, that guy fills the room in every way. He's just huge.
So how big is your game? How many do you keep for yourself, or is your game room filled? Or
they're all well, they're almost all for sale. There's a few that I'd probably never sell, because there's a couple that I think if you do anything creative, there's always things you want to improve, or you think could be a little bit better. Or I find that I really love a painting, and then I'll be doing the next one and the next one and the next one. And then for me, it's just about the next paint. It's about the next ballpark. It's not so much about, I love seeing them all together. I love seeing them all up on the wall and whatever, but it's more about, okay, I want the next one. I want to do more. Like, I just want to do more. I want to get to more ballparks, see how it is in a different country with different settings, different lighting, different everything. So so there's a couple that I probably would never get rid of, but most of them, you know, they're for sale on my website. And I want people to have them. I want people to see them. I want people to enjoy them. That's kind of the point, is to, you know, like we're talking about, there's nothing better than going to a new ballpark and seeing, you know, trying the food and seeing the, you know, being in the city and, you know, all the different aspects of it. And I hope that when people have one of my paintings, they can have a bit of that joy in their office or in their front room or wherever they put it, because I feel like hopefully it's got all that. It's got the atmosphere of Pittsburgh, got the atmosphere of the Nats, like, you know, there.
You have a whole different outlook than I do. I love it. Like I said, I just like seeing the ballpark, but you bring the ballpark to your own imaging and do your own thing with it, and
That's it.
and really break it down.
Yeah.
I imagine that's got to be tough. Trying to memorize everything. I know the ballpark doesn't change, but I mean the players might change.
Yeah.
Like when you're painting, if you're in the middle, if you're in like the top of the inning, and all of a sudden you get to the infield, if you're
Yep.
putting players on,
Yeah.
like you might just start like coloring the away team now on the field and have
Right.
different color jerseys on the field.
Right.
Has that ever happened?
Well, you see, I don't know. It was relatively early on. I decided that I'd always have the home team in field. So that always means that when the home field are fielding, like at a certain point, like, you know, for me, I start off with the, you know, there's one kind of back here over my shoulder. So the first thing is kind of like the, you know, get the sky basically in, get the field kind of in, get the trees or whatever it might be. So it's getting the basic overall thing. But then it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. It's okay right now, and your brushes get smaller. So I start with a big brush, get the general thing in, and then it's looking for little details. When it gets to the players, then yeah, it'll be over a few innings. I'll be watching, okay, the pitcher, where's his setup point? Is he down here? Is he up here? Where's he kind of going from? The third baseman, does he lean forward a lot? Is he sat back on his heels? Like, how's he looking? Or has he got 1 foot in front? Like, what's his positioning? So again, I'll be watching that guy for the start of the play, and then it's just a matter of, okay, got it, bang, and I've got to kind of get that in. Hopefully it goes in as it gets that feeling, then on to the next guy, right, go around, and then have a quick count up, make sure I've got them all in, because of course sometimes you think, hang on, I've only got 7 players, something's happened, something's wrong here.
I wasn't sure how I wasn't sure how you did that. I'm glad I asked, because that was a question I had.
Yeah, it's a challenge, but again, it's my, and again, part of the reason why I started doing this was because I wanted to understand the game. I wanted to understand baseball, and I wanted to understand the culture that I was living in. I lived in Korea for 10 years, and it was right at the start I first went. But I realized that, you know, you can be, like I say, I could drop you into a Cuban ballpark or a Mexican ballpark, and within a game, you're going to know a huge amount about the culture and the people, and probably more quickly than you would if you were out on the streets or just walking around like the tourist area or something, for example. So for me, it was just about understanding where I was living, the people I was amongst, the culture, and you know, and how it all worked, and it really, and the game itself. So it's a matter of learning all sorts of new things, and I find that everywhere I go, because again, you start talking to new fans and they tell you about this, they tell you about that, you get the shorts, you know, you hear about new opinions, new views on life and whatever else, and again, it's interesting to see how we're all the same, but we're all different.
Now, I imagine someone took this photo, or did you set up your phone for a timing of that one?
Somebody took
I really
that one
like
from me.
that one.
That was great. That was the MLB London series 3 years ago now, I think. And it was 3 years ago today, I think, and today and yesterday. Yeah, that was fantastic. I mean, that was quite an incredible thing to have in London. It was great to be there painting it. It was actually the first painting that I made after leaving my full-time job. So, you know, I was teaching art in South Korea for 10 years. I taught a bit in the UK before that. So that was like
the Red Sox Yankees game overseas.
Yeah. Red Sox Yankees in the London Stadium. That was, I don't know if that was day 1 or day 2. I can't remember, to be honest. But
was that at Wembley?
Yeah. No, it's the London Stadium. It's where the Olympics were, where West Ham United, the soccer team, play.
Okay.
But it was great. They did a good job. It was amazing. Like it was kind of cool to see, you know, because here it was cool. A bit, I think, like the NFL games they have, everybody just came in their jersey. So it didn't matter if you're a Red Sox fan or a Yankees fan. People were just like, it's just great to have the opportunity to put on your Mariners shirt or whatever. So it was just like all the baseball fans in the UK, all around Europe, and of course some people from your neck of the woods came over to see the game, and it made for kind of a different sort of atmosphere than you'd get if you go to like a home game in, you know, whichever city or state you're in back in the States. So it was unique. It was a really cool place to be and to capture that. We've got very soon the Home Run Derby coming up next weekend. I'm going to be painting that in London. So they've got a few old stars coming to drum up some interest in the MLB London series that's happening next year. So there's a lot going on over here with baseball. It's good.
Now, do they give you free tickets, or do you have to buy a ticket and go in?
Good question. It depends. It depends. You know what? To be fair, I haven't bought a ticket in a while now, but I do. I mean, if I need to, yeah, of course, buy a ticket. I don't mind buying a ticket. I certainly don't expect free tickets, but you know, when I was in the Dominican just this last winter, that was making a book of my artwork for with a production agency over there. So it was like 103 paintings of the Serie the Caribe and the Lee Dom series, and that was where, you know, David Ortiz and all those guys came in. And yeah, that was being taken around to all the place. It was more like, okay, right, I had to make 103 paintings of Dominican baseball, so it was okay. Go and paint Fatilla one day, paint softball the next, go to a sugarcane field the next, go to a little league game the next. And it was just like, okay, each day out to a new place or a few new places and do some paintings, do some sketches. So yeah, tickets weren't necessarily important with that one, but yeah, I mean, I've got a few ticket stubs.
Now, do some of these stadiums put your stuff up for auction with their charities and stuff?
You know, not specifically that. I mean, I'd love that. That'd be wonderful.
Because I know PNC Park, it's like sometimes has like game worn jerseys or
right, yeah,
and then people can bid on them. And
yeah,
I
absolutely.
didn't know if any of them asked you to come and do it.
You know, I'd love that. That would be fantastic. There's so many ways in which I think my work can work and help other people as well. Like, for example, even just there, it's good that you say this. I don't know how clear it's going to be, but it's Shoeless Joe Jackson's cleats. And so I did a painting for the Shoeless Joe Jackson, or the Joe Jackson Museum and Library in South Carolina. They asked a few artists all around the world, I don't know, 22 artists, I think, to do a painting of Shoeless Joe Jackson. We could do anything we wanted. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do his cleats. That would be interesting because, you know, of course, because of his name. And then the whole point of that was they made a trading card set of baseball cards from it. So each artist's painting became a baseball card as part of this like collector's kit. And the money raised from that went to build book boxes all around South Carolina and all around the States. So they teamed up with Barnes and Noble and things like this. So it's great to have to be able to do my work and hopefully help other people in all different ways. Then that's superb. I mean, again, I was doing a lot of work with the Josh Gibson Foundation. I think that was last year. Before that, the Negro League Museum in Kansas City, did some stuff with them. So yeah, it's always, for me, if hopefully I can do my work and survive doing my work, and if I can help other people by doing my work in some way, then that's absolutely fantastic. I mean, why not?
Well, I'm impressed with your work. I mean, it got me interested in wanting you on my show. So yeah. So when do you plan on coming back stateside? Or
I was in the States earlier this year. That was April, May time. I was over in the Bay Area, California. I'm not sure if I'm going to be back this year now. I'm not sure, to be honest. I mean, I always think I did the all 30 ballparks in one season, 2019. I reckon 2029, like I'll probably just about be ready to come back and try all 30 again, see what's there and see what's changed.
I'm sure the people in Texas would want you to come back and paint that new Globe Life.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That looks pretty phenomenal. When they were building it, when I was painting it, it looks amazing. So it'd be nice to see.
The other stadium down there is pretty nice too.
Mm-hmm.
That thing's huge.
Absolutely. So like everything in Texas, eh?
Right. I've been to the Jerry Dome, as I call it.
Yeah, it'd be good to get back as soon as possible, as soon as I can be. I'll be back in the States and doing more work for sure.
I mean, that TV probably takes about 20 minutes to paint itself. So if people wanted to get a hold of you, Andy, how would they do that? Like I said, we're going to try and keep it around a half hour today. So
yeah, great. They can, I mean, my Twitter handle's there, and Andy B is an artist. I'm on Instagram and Facebook as Andy Brown is an artist, and you go to my website, andybrownstadiums.com, and you can get in contact with me through those ways, or just have a look at my work. All good.
Sweet. Yeah, maybe after I get this reposted, you could walk behind me and put all your stuff where people can contact you. That way it could be an easier click instead of
Absolutely
trying to do all that. But I thank you for giving me, I guess, a little bit of your afternoon time today.
I appreciate it. Thanks very much for having me on.
Yeah, I'm highly impressed with your work. I like it a lot. I'll have to look into that. I didn't really look at your website. I didn't know there was one. I just seen what you sent. I just seen what you sent me, so that's what I was going off.
Yeah,
of.
check out the website. There's prints and originals, and I always do commissions as well if people want. I've done paintings of people's favorite ballpark or the ballpark they played on as a kid or whatever. Or players do those sorts of things as well. I've got a book on the website. I'll quickly show you this. This is with Team GB, like as the official artist for Team GB. We were in Italy at the European Championships. It was 2 weeks. So there was 1 week of training in Turin. So it was kind of like I was painting all the training sessions, the BP, and all like the first week warming up to the tournament, and then like the physio sessions, the playing cards on the hotel rooftop, and all this sort of thing. And then there's the games themselves. So again, I'm always looking for new teams to do this sort of thing with, portraits of the players. But yeah, there's all sorts of stuff on there. And if anybody wants one, get in touch, or they're all available to purchase there, or anybody's watching and thinks, great, I'd like that guy to come and do that for my team, then yeah, get in touch as well. All good.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into this. Is there more expensive fees shipping overseas, or?
It's a little bit from here to the States, yeah, absolutely. But it depends on what you get exactly. Like, of course, a big canvas, well, that's going to cost more because it's a big canvas. But the smaller canvases, I mean, it's not that much, to be honest. But but yeah, it's more expensive than domestic, without a doubt.
Now, do you ship it in the frame, or do you ship it in one of the round containers and then?
Depends on it depends on the size more than anything. Like if you're going for a big canvas, you can have it shipped in the frame, but it's more expensive. Like it's more economical for the client if it's rolled up and put in a tube and you take it to a frame or whatever on your end, because if you go, well, that's the other thing. Way safer travel, but it's also cost wise, because when if it's like a 6 foot by 4 foot, or I don't know, 4 by 3 or something, that's a big thing to ship over to America. If you roll it up and put it in a tube, it's the money that you'll pay to get that stretched in your town will be nothing compared to the postage. So that's the way to do it.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking into this. I'm probably gonna get one just to let you know.
Great stuff.
I need to complete my wall here. My wall's pretty blank.
Need a bit of color. I've got at the moment. I'm actually the one's actually just behind me right here now. I've got on my I'm putting on my Instagram for cheaper than they're like old stuff. I've got so much stuff around me that I was like, I've got to the stage where some of it I'm like, okay, you know what? Like I'm going to frame these up. I'm going to get ready to ship them out, and so I'm just putting them up on my Instagram and on my Twitter page. Every few days, I'll put a couple more up, and then if people are interested, they can get in touch. Right, that's great, that's yours, and I ship it off to them nice and easy. So again, keep your eyes open for those. They're there.
I'm sure your game room is mighty filled.
It really would be. If I had a game room, it's more here. This is my game room, my little hut.
So is this? Are we in your office, or are we?
Yeah, this is in the garden. So I mean, it's so we've got the back garden here. And this is a little hut, so it's probably, I don't know how big it is, maybe 12 foot by 8 or something like that. And yeah, I've got my easels, and I've got my paints and my canvases and all sorts of stuff, and all the brushes and whatever else. So this is where I spend as much time as possible, because this is where I get to paint and enjoy myself and create stuff. So
I'm sure my daughter would love seeing this, because she's so artistic. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's really transformed from being like a storage place, because it was over lockdown. I came back, I was in Mexico, came back, and when COVID kind of started kicking off, then all of a sudden, of course, you realize you can't go anywhere anymore. And this hut was full of like boxes and stuff. So it was like, okay, those boxes have got to go. And then I had a chair with a bucket on top, and I used to put canvases on that. And then as lockdown went on, I thought, well, okay, I need to get a proper easel now. So it's like, okay, the bucket and chair goes, and I get an easel and get that set up. And now it's fully functioning and messy.
I love it. I love it. But Andy, like I said, we're gonna try and keep it a half hour. Unfortunately, I have to get ready
Great
for work
stuff.
and get out the door.
Great stuff.
Yeah, anytime you want to come back and tell everyone
Anytime.
what's going on, I'm all about
Anytime.
it.
Just
I know
give
we have
me.
to work out the time because you're a little bit ahead of me.
Well, I might be. You see, my plan is to be over more your way, probably Latin America in the next few months. So, but anytime you just give us a shout and say hello, and if you want me on this, then I'll
We'll
happily
keep
come on and say
updated.
hello.
I
Absolutely.
love it.
All right. Well, thanks very much. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, thank you for coming on, and
No problems.
you have a good rest of your day, sir.
Thank you very much. You too. Have a good one.
All right, man. Have a good night. Have a good day. Holy cow. All righty, ladies and gentlemen, that was Andy. He does paintings of stadiums, and I hope you enjoyed the first episode of Who's at the Table. So, everybody, have a good day.